Welcome back to my channel. We are doing a little bit different of a video. Usually we sit down and go through all of the books I have read this week and we place them on the HRCYED board. We will be doing a board update in this video, but I have had the flu. I've also been traveling, so this video is more of a vlog as I've read one very, very long book, which is The Way of Kings. So enjoy watching me read on the plane, read while I've been sick. I make some soup. We basically just decide to heal ourselves after a very intense week, and I hope you enjoy the process. At the end, of course, I will be updating my HRCYED board. Hang around and let's see what I get up to. I'm at a wedding, so I am reading this whenever I get the chance. I am not very far in yet. I'm at chapter 11. I'm really enjoying this. It took me like 5 chapters to really get in, mostly because I didn't expect it to be a dual POV. I'm really curious how they're going to connect, how our two characters are going to meet each other. I'm enjoying myself. It's been a little bit slower than I expected, but it definitely has like the classic Brandon Sanderson voice, so I'm just like a little bit goofy. It's interesting how much he just says things without a definition and you just figure it out and pick it up because he uses it often enough for you to just figure out what's going on. I'm enjoying myself. It feels like I've read so much and yet there is still so much to be finished. We're still early days, especially since this is just book 1 of 5. Y'all, this is gonna take a while. This book has a lot of different points of view, but we center on 3 main characters. The first is Kaladin. He is a broken man who was a soldier and now he is a slave, and he is navigating depression and despair and duty and understanding how to move forward in this very unfortunate and crazy life that he has found himself in. We're also following Shallan, and she is a scholar, she's a student, and she is seeking knowledge and wisdom, and she has some secrets that she's navigating in her own personal life. And then we also have Dalinar, a man who has been a renowned soldier and advisor to the king, and he is confronting leadership styles and parts of himself that he doesn't know if he can live with anymore. And he has these visions that are really confusing and challenging a lot of his core beliefs, and he's navigating how to understand what the world is, and he has a lot of different ethical choices he's battling with. And so those are our 3 main characters. We have a bunch of really interesting side characters as well, but those are the main names that you'll see as you read the book.
Good morning. I have a flu or cold or COVID or something like that, and so we are doing a cozy little vlog this week because I am not up to much. I just got back from a wedding, so a bunch of my stuff is just laying around, and today we're just gonna read, we're gonna make soup, and we're gonna try and feel better. We are 200 pages into Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. There are so many names and so many characters. I'm having trouble keeping track of who is who and what their story is. Even in the first few pages, we skipped multiple months. And so I'm trying to keep track of a lot of timelines and characters and locations. And because it's a fantasy book, all of those location names and character names are really foreign to me because they're not standard names that you run across. I was able to find a chart that spoiled something for the prologue, but it didn't spoil the rest of the book, just of who is who, how they're connected, and just the names and the group of names that go together, and that really helped me out. So once I read that, I was really able to dive more into the book, and so now I'm getting really excited. I just know that we're doing so much world building right now, and once we've gotten through all the world building, I feel like the experience is going to go from like here to here, and I'm very excited for that. Have made Italian penicillin soup. Hopefully I can get some good nutrients in and feel better. I have been reading a bit today, but mostly cooking. I was cleaning up some and then making the soup. Honestly, it's so easy to make. It's really nourishing. It's nice and warm. I am back from the library. I got the book I came to pick up, which is Wild Dark Shore. I'm so excited about this. I've heard so many things. It's a different cover than I expected, so I'm glad I didn't save this for the brown cover because
It's in black and white. I've heard this is very mysterious and just has a lot of interesting elements to it that you don't really know what's happening at the beginning. And I love a book like that where we figure it out as the characters figure it out. I also picked up a book that I saw a booktuber recommend, and that is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I'm scared to read this. I've heard the very beginning of it is like pretty dang freaky and spooky, and I'm not very good at being spooked, but I've also heard the payoff for reading it is so worthwhile, and you just like need to know what happens. So I'm gonna brave it. Oh, it like kind of puts my stomach in a knot. And then lastly, I got Problematic Summer Romance. I did not think I was going to read this book. Ali Hazelwood has been an author. I really liked her first 2 books, and then she just got really spicy and just not really my style of book. Rachel, who's from Australia and is just like phenomenal, she said that she read this book and really liked it, and so I thought, you know what, maybe I need to give Ali Hazelwood another shot. So I'm going to read this. She commented that there was like a good amount of emotional intelligence in this. That was the game changer for me, because I don't like romances when all it is just a lot of miscommunication and people aren't identifying their feelings and they're not talking about what they really want or what they mean, and it's all just so much subtext. And that just drives me crazy. I'm like, if you have something to say, just say it. So I'm really hoping to enjoy this. I have high expectations and I hope they pay off. I have a day off tomorrow, which actually doesn't happen very often. I usually work 7 days a week, which I know, very unhealthy, understand. But I have all day tomorrow to just read. I'm probably going to go on a walk. I'm trying to go very light and easy and just get into this healing routine. I binge watched the entirety of season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty while I've been sick, so I'm definitely in the mood to read again.
How do you say hi to a vlog?
Are you proud of yourself?
Very proud of myself.
We have made it 1/3 of the way through this book, and I'm at my favorite park with my roommate who's taking a nap. Do you mind that you were in that?
That's fine.
There she is. I think I've put my finger on why I've struggled to get into this, and it's because it follows 3 different characters, and so we're getting 3 different POVs, and I'm invested in 2 of the 3 and I'm getting invested in the 3rd, but I think what I'm running into is it changes POVs very rapidly, and so it's not very hard for me to put it down when I'm like, oh well, we're entering a new story. So I'll read a few pages. Whoa, that was a mosquito. I'll read a few pages and then we'll change POVs, and I'm like, oh well, I was invested in that and I don't really want to read this next part right now, so I'll drop the book, and then it'll take me a while for me to pick up again because I'm not in a good flow with the story. I feel like I'm at a point where I understand how the characters connect to each other, what the world is. I'm understanding more of the magic system. I'm understanding more about what the war is and why this war even happened to begin with. My interest is engaged. I like this world and I want to know more about it. And I'm finally getting to a point where I'm not like just setting it down and walking away to do a random task or chore or something.
Hey.
I finished The Way of Kings last night, and the way I gasped and I was shocked and everything clicked into place. I feel like this book was such a slow burn for me. I got maybe till like 800 pages of being like, yeah, I like it. It's fine. I'm not like dying to pick it up. And then the last 200 pages, I was flipping pages like crazy. I needed to know what happened next. There were all of these different plot twists that were happening and things where I was like, oh my gosh, this thing suddenly makes so much sense as to why it's been here, and like I've kind of been ignoring it or just like acknowledging that it existed but like didn't really care about it, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, we care about this. This is actually like a significant part of this book that I had no concept. Like everything has changed, and I finished the book and I expected to read this and then think about it for a little bit and then just kind of like maybe decide if I wanted to keep doing the series. I knew so many people loved it, so I kept pushing through. I was like, I'm determined to like this series. Like, I don't know why I'm not falling in love with it yet. I understand now. I didn't understand, but I do now. I immediately went to get the sequel because I need to know. Like, now there are things that I understand so much more, to the point where I'm like, if I reread this book right now, I'd be like, oh my gosh, duh. All the different elements of it. I'm so captivated in a way that I haven't been during this entire reading vlog. And I'm not sure how much of that is life from the book itself and how much of that is life from me being healthy again and not having the flu. So that may play into it, but honestly, I don't think so. I have been reading Brandon Sanderson this year. I actually read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter January 1st of this year. It was my first book of 2025. Then I read Trust of the Emerald Sea in May, and now it is September, and I have read The Way of Kings. And I feel like I now am officially like a Brando Sando fan. I understand why people are obsessed with him because I need more. I need more of this. It was this long, I was intimidated, and I'm like, the next books are longer and I still can't wait. I'm very excited to have more things click into place. I also kept finding myself chuckling as I was reading. There are so many little quotes and things he says that were just so funny and witty, and I just really enjoyed Brandon's sense of humor as he writes. I also enjoyed how philosophical the book is. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting to wonder about life and morality and ethics and philosophy as much as I did, but I've always been a bit of a philosophical person. I love a good question. That's partially why after I finish a book, I let you know what questions the book addresses, because I find themes interesting. I find concepts very interesting. And honestly, that's probably because when I was a senior in high school, I had to read 2 classics and then compare the themes in those 2 classics in like a 30-page paper. I had a weird high school experience, but it like really transformed how I read, to understand and pick up on themes and questions, and how writing is a form of understanding the world, not just escapism. Anyway, this book was really fun because I found myself very entertained. I would like laugh. I also was like very engaged in the concepts, and there were some quotes that I loved. This is one of them. What is a prayer if not creation? Making something where nothing existed. Creating a wish out of despair, a plea out of anguish. Bowing one's back before the Almighty and forming humility from the empty pride of a human life. Something from nothing, true creation. That is so beautiful. There are more. The purpose of a storyteller is not to tell you how to think, but to give you questions to think upon. Too often we forget that. I just loved the balance of humor and philosophy and the way I was invited to think. I love classics. Oh my gosh, look at all my stuff on my bookshelf. I love classics because they make me wonder and dive into deeper questions that I don't have answers to. I like to think about things. I like to dwell and mull over concepts. I find that very interesting, and I enjoy the process of thinking about something bigger than myself. And I feel like classics tend to be an invitation to that. And this felt like such a fun variation of that, in that it was playful, it was entertaining. There were a lot of like little bantery moments, which I live for a good banter. Those of you who know me know I love to banter with people. So finding a bantery book that has some of those like ethical and moral questions that make me think and wonder about things in one book was a very fun find, and you better believe I will be finishing this series. I gave this 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed the book, but I enjoyed it more at the end. While I was in the process of reading it, I wasn't having a 5-star experience. I get why I needed all the context I had to read through to understand the end of the book. Like, I get why we got here. I really enjoyed myself like the last quarter of this book, but I think I can only give it 4.25 stars because the first 3 quarters, I was kind of like, yeah, it's good. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I need to read more. This book asks a lot of really hard questions and interesting questions. I think one of them is, what are our responsibilities to other people who are like us or different from us? And especially when those responsibilities are set in systems that were based in inequality or based in war and hierarchy, and how do we engage with each other, and what responsibility do we hold to each other as human beings and as people who are fighting for the same thing together, but maybe in different ways and with different backgrounds. It also asks whether or not broken people can be heroes. It asks questions about mental stability, about depression, about confusion, about challenging your own beliefs, and at what point is it essential to challenge things you've assumed to be true and maybe confront ideas that might be other than what you're used to asking about but are important to do so. Lastly, I think it asks, how much can you trust yourself? It's hard to know how to answer that one. There are so many more questions that we could get into, but for the sake of time, I won't list them all off, but definitely deals with the concepts of heroes and villains, of tradition versus progression, and family versus isolation, community, the role of different things. It just, it's a beautiful book. Go read it. Promise me if you open it, you're gonna finish it, because it's a journey, but it's worth it. And I promise I wouldn't tell you to read it if I didn't genuinely believe that this book is worth the amount of pages you'll turn. And I genuinely believe the series is going to be equally as wonderful. I'm going to put this in the spot for HRCYED, the full series challenge. This is book 1 of 5, and there are 2 novellas, so that's great. I'm also going to put this in by the hundreds because this book was 1,000 pages and I want to fill up those higher number spots, just have them out of the way. So those are the 2 spots I'll be putting this book in. Please tell me the books you would like for me to read in future videos. I have not read many books this week, just many pages, and I'm ready for something a little bit new. Thank you for coming on the healing process. I'm very excited to be back into the flow of things and into a new routine. We have read 27 books now. We're deep in the challenge, and let's keep going, keep resting, keep reading, and I will see you soon.